that's well, Aikido is an interesting martial art because it's a throwing art. You don't hit anybody; you just throw them down, and eventually they get tired of attacking you and give up.
Okay.
That's the whole point. So
Wait, we're live on Facebook. So what's the link? I'm going to send it to our whole company.
M2 Techcast on Facebook. Actually, I sent you that link.
In the email?
Yeah.
oh, hey guys.
Welcome to M Squared Techcast, a live internet radio show offering the latest news and interviews with the people driving business, technology, and politics in Michigan. Now, your hosts, Matt Roush and Mike Brennan.
Hey, it's Matt Rao. And we're back with another edition of the M Squared Techcast. We've got an interesting and varied show for you today, I think.
Yep.
Wide variety of topics, certainly.
Yep.
We're going to start things off with Jason Raznick, the founder of Benzinga, which is sort of one of the pioneers of the industry now known as fintech. So I guess, Jason, go ahead and start us off and talk a little bit about the origins of Benzinga and where the tech world is going now from your space.
Absolutely. So Benzinga, back in the day, there was very few places to get real-time information on the financial markets. I thought it was unfair that hedge funds on Wall Street had access to information before average Joe investor. And I was working on both sides. I worked in New York, and I thought there was another way to deliver information. So Benzinga was created by crowdsourcing smart people from different verticals. So say that one person knew about, I don't know, community banks or just different things in the public markets. And at the end of the day, we found experts in these different verticals. And we created a thing called Benzinga Pro, which is a real-time data and news platform. And it was real-time, and so people who are average Joe would get stuff the same exact time as someone who's on Wall Street. And that was the first incarnation of Benzinga. Then over time, you mentioned, Matt, fintech. Fintech stands for financial technology. That's what the short abbreviation is, fintech, financial technology. And that's a changing world. We're obviously, you guys know media is a changing world. The way we deliver information is a changing world. The way you're going to invest or, your bank accounts, it's a changing world. And what we do is we try to bridge that changing world. So we try to take those companies that are in the fintech space. We put on these Benzinga FinTech Awards every year. We put them on for 5 years now. And we bring the newest, most innovative companies in fintech, and then we put them in front of investors, buyers, clients that would want to, use it, all that kind of stuff. So the things that make your life easier, like when you want to join a new bank account, you have to type all your data in. It's because there's a fintech company in the middle. It's putting your data in there called Plaid or Quova. There's different ones, Finicity. And so that's kind of how we, play in that, and Yodlee. Play in that game.
In the old days, it was Bloomberg would not sell you the machines, lease you the machines.
Yeah, that's
how Bloomberg.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, Bloomberg made all of his money.
Way back.
It was just for big stock traders.
Yeah, way back
in
I was going to say way back in the 90s, it was a big happy day when I worked at Crane's Detroit Business when we got a Bloomberg terminal.
Oh yeah.
Because we could get instant information on any security, no matter how weird or derivative it was or anything. But you essentially made that available to everyone.
Or it can come to you as an alert, and so. Like Detroit Free Press, I know they used to have a Bloomberg, but we built a system that is SEC alerts, SEC filings, press releases. So if you want to file Ford or Tesla, you can have it go to your email. You can have it come once a day in real time, whatever it is. We built that. Bloomberg charges $2,000 a month, about $25,000 a year. Benzinga Pro, Benzinga BENZINGA Pro is about $100 to $150 a month.
Yeah.
And it's all real time. It's data. There's scans. If you opened it and you traded stocks, it literally gives you all the tools that you'd want. Now, if you didn't trade stocks and you're using it as a research thing, it's another avenue where you don't get all the advertisements. It's all in there, and there's a full newsroom. Like here in downtown Detroit, we literally have a newsroom of people, and there's thousands and thousands of subscribers that are using Benzinga Pro, and then millions of people that read the content. And it started because there was a hole in the market. Small cap stocks, 300 million to 1 billion. People don't cover them as much. Like the news media, they cover the Yahoo's back in the day, or the story stocks, the Disneys, the Googles, Apples, Teslas, and we're like, there's a hole here, and that's kind of how it started as a small cap news and an idea service. That's how it started, and then with changing landscape, when brokerages wanted to have more content or more fintech stuff, they asked if we could, take it on. So we're about 40 or so people in our Detroit office,
That many.
and then there's definitely 4 in Detroit, and then there's another 20 or so people remote that are full time that are not just like doing little stuff. They're full time.
But they work from their home or wherever.
Yeah, they're like just happen to be located. There's 4 people in New York that are just full time. And I used to have a thing like you got to try to get everyone here, but it's hard this day and age. So as long as you can like get your stuff done and take care of the client, and we have a guy in Chicago who's a user of Benzinga Pro. I mean, you have a big community at My Tech News, and like go to your users sometimes and let them know, hey, you're looking for someone. Sometimes they don't realize, like, hey, we'd hire, and we do a bad job at communicating that. Like we put all these job ads up, but really we should have just went to our users first. That's what that's what I've learned over the years. Go to your passionate users. I think that helps.
Now you also do events.
Yes, our events. We're doing about 3 or 4 a year. This year we have more. I think our schedule is 6 or 8, but we do them in cannabis, fintech. We may do a real estate one. We're not sure on it this year. Our cannabis one comes up. We have one in Miami, February 23rd and 24th. If you go to bzcannabis.com, you'll see bzcannabis.com/Miami. It's at the Fontainebleau in Miami.
Ooh.
And it'll be like a bunch of investors.
Yeah, real shabby venue, huh?
Yeah, it's so we're trying to get some like celebrity and all that whole stuff. And then we have one in Detroit for that, and that's in March, I think March 20th at the Weston Book Cadillac.
Yep.
We did that last year too,
Yep.
at bzcannabis.com. And Mike, you were there, and
I was.
we really try to make relationships and connections happen, and we'll do even more for that. So if you're looking for advertisers, looking for investors, clients, and then in fintech, we do the BZ Awards. So if you have a fintech company, you should submit. And it's at the end of the day, we're just like a bridge. We're trying to connect companies to investors and people to information. So you and I, the 3 of us, we were talking about Tesla before. Those are stories that sometimes you don't get. You hear like from press releases, but if you can talk to the person that's like on the front end of like hearing the information of the people who are on Twitter and getting them to do interviews and hearing why they are so long that stock and hearing those perspectives, just gives you that varying viewpoint. And that's what we try to do versus just being a repetitive media source.
And then, of course, you cover, as we talked about, you covered cannabis. And but I was surprised because when you came in, I didn't realize you've been actually covering it for, 5-6 years, right?
Yeah, I'm one of those persons when I told you we started Benzinga that we tried to find really smart talent across the world like that. And there was this guy, Alan Brockstein, who wanted to focus on cannabis. And we started a product with him called 420investor.com.
Perfect.
And he has a closed community on our platform, and it's 420 Investor, and there's like a couple thousand people in there, and they communicate all day. And from then on, we're like, whenever there's a new exciting sector, you're going to get a lot of companies that are not real. They're faking it, and they try to get all the media press. So we try to put what's real out there and tell the truth, not doing those like things like, oh, this company's the next $1 billion thing. We just try to, and so there was a hole for that market, and so we've been covering cannabis for a while, but I would say in the last year and a half, 2 years, we've really built out that vertical. So if you go to benzinga.com/cannabis, CANNABIS, we probably have 10 to 20 or so articles a day. And it's not just like stories but it's saying buy the stock. It's the news. A company raises money, a company goes out of business. We're trying to give people color on an industry that is a little opaque, and we're trying to give that clarity. And that's what we do with our events. So you can read it on, on the site, or you can read it in person, or you can meet the people and you meet the CEOs in person. That's the other thing.
Well, we're kind of a Michigan-focused show here, so I'm curious to get your thoughts on where you think that industry is going here in Michigan.
So right now, there's more demand than supply. So there's
By far.
by far, as
Yeah.
they're coming in. Waterford got approved, but there's not opening yet because he knows one of the supply. I think the industry will continue to grow. There are some big entrants that are out of state that are entering the market that are interesting. I think, there's one side to look at, hey, cannabis, like, hey, get high. The other side is it really can solve problems. My mom has no clue what cannabis. She didn't even know what it smells. It's a long story, funny story. She called security. She thought the room had a skunk smell when she was at a hotel.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And she thought there was a skunk next door. She didn't know it was cannabis. Long story short, my mom had a huge back problem for many, many years. She now gets this like salve that she rubs on her back.
Mm-hmm.
It's night and day. My uncle who has colitis, same thing. Like he couldn't eat, couldn't do these different things. Cannabis has been a night and day remedy. So in that regard, the healing part of it is a part that I think has way more legs to go, like way more legs, because people. The natural reaction is, I'm not going to, try this. It's just a natural reaction. But, like, my mom, who has no clue what, so we tease her to this day, it's really solved a problem. So,
well, it's cannabinoids you're talking about? Are you talking about smoking it or the creams, scabs?
Edibles? Or
CBD on a lotion on her back. Now,
okay.
My uncle with colitis, I think he has edibles, and it's night and day for him.
Yeah.
It literally, he's been on every medicine you could imagine.
I hear that a lot from people. I really do.
And so the question that we ask, okay, why didn't this come sooner? Why didn't this? I mean, at least that part of it.
Well, why wasn't pharmaceuticals have been suppressing it.
That's where we have at our events we have a historian speak about cannabis and the history of it. And at one point in time it was legal, and then it got suppressed, and that's kind of where it was hemp originally, and then this whole thing changed, and now that it's changing, now the question, Mike, is it's legally, it'll be legal, here in the state it's legal, but federally it's still not.
All right.
From our inside sources, they say as enough states legalize cannabis, federal will follow. So right now we have 11 states legal for recreational.
Right.
And
more than that for medical.
Oh yeah. Easy cannabis
more
is
than 30, I think, in medical.
So as enough states legalize it, then federal will follow. And what that does, it opens up the banking, it opens up a lot more industries. And then at the end of the day, you're gonna have some brands that are gonna win, in my opinion. Like you go to an Apple store, you have your Apple, will there be brand loyalty? Will there be because cannabis, there's so many different cannabis types, right? Ones that make you tired, ones that give you energy, ones that kind of stuff. So I don't know. If you want to read more about it, bzcannabis.com/cannabis, or feel free to email me at jason@benzinga.com with any questions on it. It's a growing industry, changing, and it's interesting to see what people make up each day.
Well, there's some huge proposals for operations here in Michigan. I know I was just reading in Cranes, the industrial park in Battle Creek has set aside 100 acres.
Yep.
For a cannabis grow operation and processing. There's the one in Muskegon, which is gigantic.
Yep.
Also.
Well, that one's been kind of they've had some issues with that. Steve Braddock was involved in that. So, but it's still running into conservative points of view, or they don't want it, but in the end, it's generating a lot of money, and that'll change everything.
Yeah, you're right. If you file the money, the taxes. I mean, if you file the money, that's a lot of things I've learned over the years. If you file the money, that's where things go.
Yeah.
It breaks down all them walls. Kalkaska, for instance.
Oh, yeah.
Turning into Pot Central. Now, I kind of grew up in northern Michigan because my mother was from Petoskey. Now, that's hard to believe.
Yeah, that town is about as conservative as it gets. So,
yeah.
And like you could do distribution, but the reason if you grow it locally here and you get the whole vertical integration, you get fresher, you can turn it around time quicker. And if you're just thinking of like cannabis is like, hey, we're smoking pot on the weekend, you're missing the boat. We wouldn't have covered it if that was the case. Like Benzinga, we don't just cover stuff because it's
cool.
Hot. Yeah, we don't just cover it's cool. We cover there's a business there, and there's a lot of businesses that won't make it. And as you guys know, you guys have covered everything. You've been in the business for a long time, both of you, and you've seen companies that go up and down. And there's a lot of legit, real companies in this space. Now, there's things like who's going to be the survivors of what different industries.
Well, that's the same thing I think is happening in, frankly, in microbreweries, and I think cannabis is going to follow a similar path. For a while, there's going to be a gajillion, local small operations, but not all of them are sustainable.
Yeah, so, it always boils down to when a market matures, you have the uniques, and then you have the big ones. Everybody in the middle goes away. It's either one or the other.
It's interesting. I mean, it's like if you think about retail, right? I mean, Costco is still thriving, but a lot of those other ones that are then Costco's thriving, but the high end thriving, but in the middle, as you mentioned, they're Sears
going
closing.
away.
You know,
Mervin's went away.
Yeah.
Mervin's went away, and
Yeah.
so interesting. You got to find your niche,
That's
and
it.
and we hope more people that listen to the show come out to one of our events. You'll see Mike there, and come on.
Yeah, that's worth price of admission right
now
there.
that-
you
that's
know?
there's a
that's
draw.
attraction.
Oh, okay.
BZCannabis.com is attraction, and there's discounts too. So Mike has them, but I know we're cut.
Okay, I'm getting the high sign from Dave here behind the board. So one more time, if folks want to know more about Benzinga.
So you can go to benzinga.com and read news or ideas. If you want to get a hold of me, I'm just at jason@benzinga.com, benzinga.com. And any of our events, go to benzingaevents.com, and we'd love to connect with you. We're in downtown Detroit at One Campus Marshes, the big building downtown. So
CompuWare used
All
to be
right.
there.
CompuWare used to be. There's still CompuWare still has space there. So
Oh, really?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
they still have
They
space.
still sell mainframe software. It's just
That's
not,
true.
not as big as it once was,
No,
but
not
it's still
once.
there. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Jason, founder of Benzinga. We'll be back in just a moment with another segment of the M Squared Techcast. For right now, it's Matt Roush.
And Mike Brennan,
And you're listening at PodcastDetroit.com and...
MI Tech TV.
Lawrence Technological.
Coaches. Why wait? Find out more at ltu.edu.
Hey, it's Matt Roush.
And Mike Brennan.
And we're back with another segment of the M Squared Techcast. Our guest right now is Molly Theis, who is with a community. She is community engagement manager for Entry Point. So I guess, Molly, first, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sure. And second of all, tell us a little bit about what Entry Point is.
So, Entry Point is an organization that advances the entrepreneurial ecosystem through by promoting entrepreneurship with education, community engagement, and research.
And formerly, you were with the Michigan Venture Capital Association, where your boss also was with the MVCA, Emily.
Yes.
So I assume that that was part of the reason you guys kind of connected and she brought you in. Was there a connection there?
Yeah, definitely. I really enjoyed working with the team at MVCA, with Ara Tapuzian, the executive director, and the rest of the team, and the board of directors. I was able to work with them pretty closely the last 4 years, so they were all really inspiring. So I got a little taste of the entrepreneurial ecosystem through the investment community. I wasn't totally sure what my next move was, but looking to work with the entrepreneurship community a little bit more broadly. So working with Emily previously and then on some projects this last fall, it kind of made the transition smooth.
Let's go a little deeper into Entry Point. It's maybe the first time people have heard of it. I know you talked about it real briefly, but get into more specifics. Because you work with a lot of very large entrepreneurial groups around the Detroit metro area.
Right. So basically the mission of Entry Point is to use the research that we do. We conduct and develop research reports, and then we use those research findings to strategize and create events that educate the communities on entrepreneurship, surrounding those trends and successes and gaps in the marketplace. for those partners.
Okay. And where does the funding come from? I take it it's a nonprofit, or is it a for-profit?
Nope, it's a for-profit company.
All right.
So internally, and then we work with the partners.
Okay.
Yep.
But the reports generate a lot of income for you, right? Is that one of your big revenue streams?
Yes, correct.
So now you do the MVCA annual report, right?
Yep, so we're continuing our partnership with MVCA, doing their 2020 report, so I'm excited to still work with them moving forward. We're doing another new partnership with the Ann Arbor Area Community Foundation and Revalue out of Ann Arbor. We're working on a 2020 Washtenaw Capital report.
Okay.
And Emily on her board has a lot of the senior leaders of a lot of entrepreneurial groups around the area as well, if I recall, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, so and I have some existing relationships with those board members as well, which is nice moving forward.
Yeah.
So could I get a hint on what kind of year it was for venture capital in Michigan from the MVCA report you probably just started working on or haven't?
We don't have much details yet.
Yeah.
The surveys actually aren't even due yet, so
Okay.
it's definitely in
Early
the works.
days.
Yes.
Okay.
I've seen the national reports, but they never really break out what goes on in the states very well. So that's okay if you want to get a really 30,000-foot overview. But I'm more interested in what's really happening here in Michigan and in the Great Lakes in general.
Right.
So
Yeah, and that's what's nice about working with our community. Everyone really wants to work together to showcase those activities just because we get 100% participation from all the venture firms, so we can really encapsulate what's going on.
right. Let's talk a little bit about the growth of the entrepreneurial space. Now, Matt and I have been covering it for I won't tell you how long time. So when I moved here from the West Coast in 1995, there really wasn't much going on in the entrepreneurial space.
That was about the time Mary Kramer at Cranes came to me and said, "Can you do a list of Michigan venture capital firms?" And I said, "Well, yeah, and it won't take me much work either because there will be about 3 of them." So,
Yeah.
It's like,
in angel groups. Remember, there was 1 or 2.
yeah, there was Dave Weaver and Dave Weaver.
Yeah, I think so.
I think
right?
that was about it.
Dave,
But
yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's what a couple years ago I was in Chicago, and I was talking to someone from a venture firm out of that area, and I had mentioned the number that we had 30 plus venture firms, and they honestly were like, "Is there legit 30 venture firms?" And it is. It's
They have an office here. Maybe it's one person,
yeah,
but
it's still. I
it's
mean, that's
almost 40.
accurate.
I think
Yeah,
last I heard was
yeah,
37, so we're
Yep.
probably getting close to 40.
yeah,
And in terms of angel groups, we're over a dozen now.
yeah. I was gonna say about 12.
Yeah,
which is
so-
great, and it seems like they're popping up
Well,
all
there's
around
only
the
3
state.
or 4 that are really, really active. The rest of them are really low key. Michigan Angels is probably the biggest. I know Skip Sims real well.
Yep.
It's about 150 in that group.
Yep, Michigan Angel
Blue
Fund.
Water
Yep.
Angels is big. Then, of course, we were mentioning Dave Weaver, which is Great Lakes Angels, and that's Ohio and Ontario.
And then Grand Angels
And
is
Grand
a really
Grand
large
Angels in
one.
Grand
Yeah, which
Rapids.
is, and they're popping up smaller ones
Yeah,
around the state,
It's
which
little
is great.
satellite
Yeah,
offices. So I'm
Yep.
impressed with that. And
yeah,
the other ones,
definitely.
not so much, kind of quiet. So, but it's okay.
But I mean, you drive around Michigan, and if you drive around like I do and drool at other people's houses, you realize there's a lot of money here, and it's a matter of convincing these folks
Well, you're
that.
building a mansion in Traverse City.
Well,
out here,
sure, right,
so,
but not. I mean, not only is becoming an angel investor potentially incredibly rewarding, it's also a lot of fun. I would think. I mean, I can't pledge to Dave Weaver that I'm going to have $50 grand a year to invest, but it does look like it would be really interesting to sit through all these pitches and try to pick one a year to do. I mean, it sounds really
it's
cool.
the one thing Dave's always given me an open invitation, as long as I don't report on if I don't bug the investors
Right.
and do stuff like that, I can sit in anytime I want. And
Yeah,
hear
you
what
can bug the entrepreneurs. They're happy to tell
Yeah,
their
they
story to
want the-
anybody. Yeah, they want the
most of
publicity,
the angel
so.
investors are flying under the radar because people, they have money, let's go talk to them. You
Yeah.
know, so
Well, and I think that's why our main focus is educating on those report findings, just because a lot of people either don't know how to invest or have no idea how to do it moving forward. So it's
Right.
really getting that information out to people so we can invest more in the local companies.
yeah, absolutely.
So talk a little bit about the work you do with the foundation community, also at Entry Point.
So
What are you
we're-
helping them with?
Yeah, so for community engagement, we're looking to expand that portion. So I'll be working with the partners we have, hosting those events based on that education. But then I also am working to launch a 501c3 through Entry Point, so we can work with those local foundations.
Yeah, that's the tricky part. They don't work
yes,
with for-profits.
Yes.
So,
So we're looking to do that so we can create even more programs and events.
yeah, absolutely. What's on the radar for this year? What do you guys do besides your reports and stuff? Anything else you can talk about that you can share with the audience here?
I mean, we're still continuing our partnership with MVCA, as mentioned, with various projects. Invest Detroit, we worked with them with Accelerate Michigan Innovation Competition every fall, so looking to continue that partnership. But we're really delving into this. This is research report time with these larger reports. So with the Washtenaw County, that's a new one, and I'm really interested in that one to see. It's a new report that they're really, the long-term goal is looking to bring that local wealth more into the community. So kind of giving everyone a broad sense of what's going on, where the capital's coming, and promoting those local businesses.
Yeah, like Matt says, there's a lot of pretty well-off people in this state. A lot of them are related to the auto industry in some way or another. But a lot of them are on the sidelines because they don't really understand the process.
Right.
It's not a major. It varies by the angel group. Some of them, like Dave's group, I think is only a $25,000 a year commitment.
Right.
I think Michigan Angels are more like 50,000. But you're investing that money in promising startups where of course the batting average isn't real good on that. I mean, what's that? If they get 100 investments, they hope to hit home run 3 or 4. But if you do hit that home run, you can make some serious money.
Yep. So we're just really hoping to keep that wealth and everything inside Michigan.
Is that what this Washtenaw County Capital Report is about? I mean, what's going to be the focus of that?
Yeah, so we're going to be focusing on the community-based businesses within Washtenaw County and bringing that local wealth into the community a little bit more. I mean, it's a report that hasn't been done yet, so it'll be we'll get to see, and it'll be a fun way to be creative and see what really comes out of the surveys.
Yeah, I mean, there's always been so much. That's always been the hotbed of entrepreneurial activity in the state, certainly, and sort of the home of high tech too, the early home.
Right.
So that's been fun to watch.
Well, Ann Arbor has the distinction of being home to 2 major industries now, not only tech but cannabis. So there's like 5 provisioning centers now open in Ann Arbor, and so a lot of stuff going on in both spaces.
It might even have to be a new sector moving forward.
Yes. Well, we just had Jason Resnick on from Benzinga, and they're covering the cannabis industry. You got to get you to cover hemp too. That's another biggie, Jason. So, and they get you the CBDs. CBD. I was corrected. I put up a post today where I pluralized it.
CBD,
somebody jumped on me about that. So CBD.
There is only CBD. There's only the one.
Yes. Yeah. Cool. So how big is Emily's operation now? I mean, how many folks work for her?
So we have about 5 people working together. So I'm running the community engagement side. She is the mastermind of research, and we have lots of communications and marketing people trying to promote all of the entrepreneurship that we can.
All right. So tell people how they'd get a hold of you if they wanted to engage the company.
It's entrypointmi.com, and if you're looking to partner with us or look at past and previous or current projects that we're working on, they can email me at molly@entrypointmi.com.
Okay. Thanks very much, Molly. Appreciate you being on the show today. And we'll be right back shortly with Rob Ponto, who's going to tell us all sorts of inside secrets about Comcast and Xfinity.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
His boss is listening, by the way. So.
And I'm sure she's just thrilled at this point.
She just perked up her ears. So.
Yeah. All right. For right now, it's Matt Roush.
And Mike Brennan.
And we'll be right back at PodcastDetroit.com and MI Tech TV.
What do you get at Lawrence Technological University?
More at LTU
Oh.
Go ahead. After you, my dear Alphonse.
Yes.
All right.
Mike Brennan.
And Matt Roush.
And we're back for the third segment of M Squared Techcast, now MI Tech TV, for those who are watching out there in Facebook land.
Yes.
And we have with us a repeat offender, Rob Ponto, who's been on the show numerous times. And he's come here to share.
We do avoid that one word, the O word, so we say
Okay.
longtime friend of the show.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Not the other one.
We said old, and we had a female guest and never heard the end of it, so we don't say old anymore.
Okay.
Well, that was the one whose name I was butchering too, though. I
Yes.
think. Yeah. Rochelle Downs. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, God, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
She might be listening, so we should probably move on.
I know.
Anyway,
Okay.
so
All right.
Comcast.
Yes.
Were you in Vegas? Were you out there? Or
I was not. I would have
Dang.
loved to have been.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really
me
cool
too.
stuff
This
going
would
on.
Be warm,
That's
right?
I tell you, there's the thing I missed the most about the old gig at WWJ was that the fact that I got to go to the CES every year
Awesome.
on a
Oh,
junket.
yeah,
That
awesome.
was so much
Price of
fun.
admission there,
oh,
huh?
man, tell me about it.
So but
But
Comcast was
Comcast was big.
yes.
Yeah.
They were out there, and see what was announced is my talking point here. Okay, what was announced?
Okay, so cybersecurity, it's a top priority for
Sure.
Xfinity
Right.
Internet customers, and it's a top priority for everyone. So
Mhm.
what we announced is that our XFi advanced security feature is now free for all of our customers who rent an XFi gateway.
That was my question I sent to you because I own my own
Yeah.
cable modem, and I was asking, does that apply just in general or not? You got to
Yeah,
have.
I'm still paying a couple shekels extra a month for you guys' machine.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah, so it's included. I don't
Well,
have to do anything.
You
or-
don't have to do anything at all. It
Okay.
downloads right to your system. It's rolling out this month. It's a $72 added value, and it protects all the connected devices in your home. There's
Maybe I
no-
should go back to renting from you guys then, huh?
Well, I think it's a good idea because you might pay a little bit more in the long run. And I know you guys are techie and you like to work with your own machines,
Right.
but if your modem gets old, we'll swap it out for you. We want you to have the latest equipment always to keep up with all the speeds that we're providing.
Sure.
So, yeah.
So would a Xfinity compatible modem that one would purchase, would it still work with that? Or
No, it would have
only
to be
with
our
yours?
XFi
I wasn't
gateway.
sure. Okay.
Yeah,
All
nothing to download. It's just going to be rolled out just like that. So we're really excited about it. We want to add more value to to what our customers are purchasing from us, and that's when we want it to happen. We want anything that's protected, or excuse me, connected is protected.
That's my mantra: is don't connect it if you can't protect it. Right?
Okay,
You
yeah,
know,
that's
so-
the Internet of Things. It's the Internet of Things that can be hacked.
Yeah. Well, particularly if you got a smart house.
Right.
Because if a bad person gets in through your thermostat or something,
They
have-
I was gonna say that's my
Yes.
all-time favorite episode of Mr. Robot is where the lady has the connected house and somebody decides they don't like her and they basically hack every system in her house so that the lights are turning on and off and the music's blaring. It's the middle of the night. She can't stop it. So
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. Between 2016 and 2017, hacks into IoT devices have gone up 600%.
well,
So it's a real issue.
well, I mean, because they use the admin and then the password's 1234,
Mhm.
and they don't change it. So I mean, duh. So, but I mean, it's really an educational process, right?
It is. And our average customer has about 11 connected devices to their home Wi-Fi, to the
Huh.
internet. And we have power users who have at least 20, but up to 50, and that's growing. All these IoT devices. Yeah. So
Well, if you
can't-
have a lot of
I'm
kids, I
just
suppose.
counting mine. I've got like 3 computers that work and a couple of security cameras and
you'd be
a
surprised.
couple of televisions and
And it's
yeah.
got a grow facility in the backyard.
yeah.
Oh, I'm supposed to say that. Sorry, didn't mean that. Okay.
Well, it's okay now,
yeah,
as long
okay.
as the feds don't show up.
Yeah.
So a lot of these IoT devices, for the average customer who's might not be really techie,
Yeah.
it's hard to use your own cybersecurity system to cover them because they don't have screens and they don't have keyboards. So
Right.
how do you do that? Well, X5 Advanced Security protects everything right at the gateway. Nothing
What
for our
threats
customers.
does it stop?
Pardon me?
What threats does it stop?
Pretty much everything. I mean, if you're going to a malicious website, it'll stop you from doing that. It'll send you an alert saying, "Don't
No,
go there.
you
It's
don't
not
wanna
protected."
Do this.
Yeah.
Right. If you have a device that's already infected with malware, it'll help stop your devices from sending that information out to an outside computer. and then just the normal hack type stuff, where people try to get your personal information.
And this is available to home, residential, as well as business users? Or?
This is for the residential.
Okay.
We have something called Comcast Business Security Edge, and that's for business services.
Do they differ in any way?
I think this one's a little more geared to the residential, and then business is totally different ball game. So
more robust or something.
Yes, I can get you more information on that.
Yeah. Okay. So we also have, why is X5 Advanced Security not? We've got that. What should customers lease? Why? I can't talk today.
Must be the weather.
What's in this water? Okay.
Okay.
Why should customers
CBDs,
lease? Since well, we discovered that too.
We did.
We'll just move through things. Let's just talk in general about Comcast.
Okay.
I think we blew through all your notes, and I'm just repeating them there.
So there is an interesting question here, though. Is Comcast an internet company or a cable company? And I have a feeling your answer is going to be yes. But
yeah, yes, it is. So just think back in the 80s, we were the cable company,
Sure.
and what we were competing on is who had the most channels.
Right.
We would compete with other companies on who had the most channels. And it turned to who had the most HD channels, and then we went into on-demand choices, DVR capabilities, and then we launched X1. And I think, Matt, you have X1, don't you?
Yep.
It's a really cool interface, a cool guide that goes on the screen and integrates everything into one spot.
Yeah, the voice remote is particularly
Yes, the voice remote, AI-powered voice remote, 1.9 billion requests in 2019.
Well, I have X1 as well. I can talk to my remote. Sometimes,
as long as it doesn't talk back.
Yeah, I have a good thing for that. So, what are the things, I don't know if this is something you want to talk about, but let me throw it out there.
Okay.
I mean, you guys are getting really challenged by all these streaming services. I know you have your own streaming services too, right?
There's something coming out soon called Peacock.
And in March, what I read,
I believe so, yeah. I can't wait till we announce that. That's going to be pretty cool. But there are a lot of different choices for people to get their video. I mean, that's where X1 comes in, where we have a way that you can pull everything into our X1 guide. So if you have a subscription to Netflix or Amazon Prime or YouTube, you can get everything all on the screen through your X1 service. And even if you don't have our video service, there's something called Xfinity Flex, where if you're an online-only customer, you'll get a small box, and it's kind of like a Roku box almost.
Yeah, I got Roku. So.
And it'll take all of your streaming services through the box onto your TV, all in one spot, so that way you're not having to log in and log out of different accounts.
Yeah.
So just another value add.
Yeah, because through what I have now, I can get to my Netflix and Amazon Prime just through the regular Comcast remote.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a smart enough TV to get Roku through it yet. I have to change what the input is from the cable box to the Roku thing. So
okay,
I have a Roku TV. So
okay, so yours is built in.
Yep, built in. When I went that way,
9,000 channels on Roku, and most of them you don't want to watch. But
well,
it's sort of like it reminds me of the glory days of community access television. Roku does, because I guess anybody, if they want to, can pay a few $100 and start a Roku channel, right? And they can put whatever they want.
Oh, really?
So
we're looking at that too when we get the video going.
There's some channels that are really strange, like 1930s Christmas cartoons. I found a couple of channels this year.
Wow.
It's almost like Podcast Detroit. There's some very unusual
Roku channels.
Well, I'm not sure. You go, really? But I mean, hey, what the heck, So, right, Dave?
Yeah.
We won't go into details. But, not here
to judge content.
No. Do your thing, baby. We support you. First Amendment, go for it.
Right.
Third thing you guys have now is you have your own Wi-Fi system for phones, and you've joined that whole space. That's been around for a little over a year or so.
Mobile phones? Yes. We've had that for a few years now, and it's a great service. Saves you a lot of money because you're usually connected to our Xfinity Wi-Fi network.
Right.
And then
you're not using data then.
Right, right. But Verizon is our data provider, so when you're not on our network, you'll be on the Verizon side, which is great.
I'm
And
waiting for the 5G phones to come out. I need to upgrade, but I see no point in buying a phone now until we get to 5G,
Full 5G.
Right.
full 5G, and then you got to wait for the network to roll out. Because what's the point? I mean, if you can't connect to 5G, why buy a 5G phone? But the other thing, it's going to be
right, and we'll have those 5G phones, the latest ones,
Right.
in our Xfinity stores.
yeah, that's going to really change everything. Now you're talking about exponential leap in
So
delivery time.
where do you have retail stores around the Detroit area?
Oh, pretty much all over. In fact,
Yeah.
we just committed $3.5 million in a new expansion through Southeast Michigan, near Port Huron and Lansing. And in fact, we're opening 2 stores in the next month, one in Southfield and one in Roseville. So
Okay.
we have over 16, 17 stores in the metro area. So they're very convenient to go to. Touch and feel all of our products, get face-to-face customer service. It's just another way we're investing our money to make that service the best experience possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, now that it's more than cable, it makes sense to have some place where people can go and try stuff out, especially if you're getting into the phone business, because
Yes.
you really want to look at a phone and feel it and use it before you commit to having it in your pocket for 2 years.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Correct.
Does yours come with a service agreement? Do you have to contract out for a number of specified time, or what?
No, you have to be an Xfinity Internet customer
Okay.
first, and then you pay by the gig, or you pay for unlimited, which is $45, and I believe it's $12 per gig, and that's it. There's no service fees or anything like that. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay. How are we doing on time there, Dave? Okay. What else you want to talk about? You got the ball here. So.
Okay. Well, so we were talking about cable TV or internet,
All right.
but we have, our center of gravity now is the internet business. I mean, we've really stepped up our game there. We want to give the best experience possible through our home Wi-Fi service.
Right.
We've got the speed. We've got gig speeds in 39 states across the country and Washington, D.C. We've upped our speeds 18 times over the past 18 years, and we're continuing to add internet customers, I think, of 1 million each year for the last 13 years.
Huh.
So speed's one of our tenants. Coverage, your internet service is only as good as your last connection.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to make sure that your coverage in your home is robust. That's why we came out with those X5 pods last year. I don't know if you remember those. They create a Wi-Fi mesh network in your home. So if you have a far-flung bedroom or a basement that you're not getting great coverage in, you can plug those in to your wall outlet.
Is there a cost for that?
Well, for 3, I believe they were $119,
Okay.
and then you can get a 6-pack for $199.
And you own those, though.
You own those,
Yeah,
correct?
okay.
And they're great for bigger homes.
Don't want to rent those. So
No.
so that expansive mansion up in Traverse City you're building, you probably want a 6-pack for that.
Yeah.
So.
Certainly.
In many different ways, right?
Right.
Yes.
And then there's control with our internet service through
Uh-huh.
XFi, the digital dashboard. What's great for families who you
Right.
can set up profiles for every person who has a device in their home, and you can check on how much internet they're using, how much Wi-Fi they're using, and how much data is going on. And you can also pause and, just control the way they use Wi-Fi. So
Okay, we got about
That's
a
handy
minute
for
or
kids,
so.
so,
We got a
yeah.
minute
Yeah.
or so left. And I know you cover Michigan, Indiana, and parts of Kentucky.
actually, I'm just Michigan.
You're just Michigan.
Yeah.
that's Michelle that does that then. Huh?
Right.
Oh, okay.
And we have a
Got it
gentleman in
confused.
Indiana, too.
Just real quick, what kind of footprint do you have in Michigan right now?
Really, it's most everything below Lansing
Okay.
from coast to coast.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's our Sabrina calling in.
Yes,
so,
it is.
One more time, if they want to reach out to Comcast, how do they do that?
Please visit us at our Xfinity store, if there's one in your neighborhood, or go to xfinity.net or 1-800-XFINITY.
Okay. Thanks, Rob
Thank
Ponto
you.
from Xfinity, Michigan. We'll be right back with one of Matt's colleagues, Sabrina Collins from Lawrence Tech, and she'll be talking about the Marlboro STEM Center, right?
Marburger STEM
Marburger
Center.
STEM Center.
Yes, that's all right. For right now, it's Matt Roush,
And Mike Brennan.
and you're listening to the M Squared Techcast.
Well, it could have been the Winston STEM Center,
Lawrence Technological University is all about opportunities. You learn beyond the
counselors, faculty, and coaches. Why wait? Find out more at ltu.edu.
Hey, it's Mike Brennan.
And Matt Roush.
And you're back on M Squared Techcast, now MI Tech TV. And Matt has a guest calling in from Lawrence Tech.
Yes, my employer, Lawrence Technological University. I believe we have Sabrina Collins on the line. Do we, Dr. Collins?
Good afternoon, Mike and Matt. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you. Well, you have a bunch of things going on at Lawrence Tech in the Marburger STEM Center that I know we want to talk about today. First of all, give us the 30,000-foot overview of what the Marburger STEM Center is.
Sure. Thank you for having me, and Happy New Year again to everyone listening. So the Marburger STEM Center, LTU's Marburger STEM Center, is essentially the clearinghouse for all of the STEM activities on a campus of Lawrence Tech. And so that includes our high school summer camps, Extreme Science Saturdays, RoboFest, which is led by Dr. C.J. Chung, and partnerships with the Detroit Public Schools and Southfield Public Schools entitled The Blue Devil Promise.
All right, so let's start with talking about the summer camps. It's time for parents to start thinking about what their kids are going to be doing this summer. Tell us what kind of summer camps Lawrence Tech offers.
Well, we offer nearly 30 summer camps specifically for 10th graders through 12th graders, and focusing on a variety of different topics from all four of LTU's colleges, so including biomedical engineering, automotive engineering, molecules and medicine, architecture, and starting your own business. And these summer camps are really important. It's an important feeder program because really nearly 50% of students that attend these summer camps actually enroll at Lawrence Tech. So it's a high-yielding program. Students have the chance to either have a residential experience where they can actually live in the dorms and, have cafeteria food, or they can have a commuter experience. So they get a chance to really experience what it's like to be a college student on our campus.
And financial aid is available if that's an issue. What's the website where people can go for more information on that?
Well, basically, if you go to www.ltu.edu, type in summer camps, and you'll get a direction to the Marburger STEM Center, which is where the high school summer camps are actually listed.
So are we still doing the forensic science one? That was always my favorite.
I don't think the forensic science one is listed this time, and we're always updating, summer camps. So we're always adding something new, bringing back something old, so we certainly will probably add it again in the future.
Yeah, and I know the entrepreneurship ones are growing too, because there's a lot of young kids these days that have an interest in starting their own business. Let's talk a little bit about Extreme Science Saturdays. The next one's coming up February 8th. Tell us about that a little, if you would, please.
Yeah, so the Extreme Science Saturdays is a program targeting high school students, but it's also an opportunity for 8th graders and 7th graders to participate. And so these are 2-hour workshops on a Saturday led by our faculty. The next one coming up February 8th is focusing on careers flying drones. And so students would get some hands-on experience flying drones and also learning about the process to actually become a pilot, the licensing procedure for drones. And so it should be a lot of fun because I know young people, they love technology, and drones are very popular right now.
Right, absolutely. Okay. You're also hosting a Black Girls Code event. That's coming up in February as well. Tell us a little bit about that, if you would.
Saturday, so we're delighted to host this with Black Girls Code, the Detroit chapter. They're having an event on our campus Saturday, February 10th, 2020, specifically for girls ages 7 to 17, and a theme for their program is Teach, Play, and Learn with Artificial Intelligence. So we're delighted to partner with them, and looking forward to having these young women on our campus getting some hands-on activities.
Now, what are the things you're also going to be doing, or actually, I think you're going to be making the announcement today. I think you were cleared about how you guys are going to be partnering with the Engineering Society of Detroit to establish the Girls in Engineering Academy. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So the Girls in Engineering Academy, so that's a signature program of the Engineering Society of Detroit. And basically, the program focuses on encouraging girls from underrepresented backgrounds to consider careers in engineering. And so they have various cohorts at various colleges and universities in the state of Michigan. And so for this coming summer, we'll actually have a cohort on our campus at Lawrence Tech for these young women. They're going into they're rising sixth graders, so they're fifth graders going into the sixth grade, and it's a 4-week summer experience. They get a chance to work in teams, learn about some fun engineering concepts, and have some fun, and be encouraged to pursue a pathway in the STEM disciplines.
So how many girls are being accepted into this academy?
So basically, we'll have a cohort of about 30 girls.
Okay. And where do people go for more information on this and to apply? I know it's an ESD program. We're in partnership with them, and we're hosting it. I think you would look at ESD, right?
Right, exactly. You would go to the Engineering Society of Detroit website, and that'll be formally announced pretty soon on their website.
Yeah, it's within the next couple of days from what I've heard, and that is ESD.org for people who don't know. That's the Engineering Society of Detroit, which is, by the way, observing its 125th anniversary this year.
I didn't know that. We should get him on the show.
Yeah, okay. We have Robert McGee back. He's a fun guest. So yeah, this is part of your ongoing opportunity to encourage more women, more people of color to consider STEM careers, right? Because it's still, I mean, despite all of our efforts, despite all of the push, they're still underrepresented.
Absolutely. And so we know that, young people, I think all young people, really need to know how STEM shapes their everyday experiences. And exposure programs like this are a great way to do that.
Okay. So you are frequently published in academic journals on some fairly interesting topics and some unusual topics. I know last year you got published, well, and the year before that too, I think a little bit, for a paper on the fictional element vibranium from the Black Panther movie, and where that would go on the periodic table of the elements if it actually existed, and using that as sort of a springboard for STEM education. You've got another one coming out here pretty soon that's just been recently accepted for publication that deals with the novel Frankenstein, of reanimating life out of dead tissue. Talk about that a little bit, if you could.
Sure. So this was, and we're so excited about this. Basically, this was a collaboration with Paul Jolson and Franco Delagoux in the Department of Humanities, Social Sciences, and Communications here at Lawrence Tech, where they actually have received a grant from the Michigan Council of Humanities to establish the Humanity Plus Lecture seminar series. Humanity Plus Technology seminar series. And so basically, as a result of that, they actually had a faculty panel seminar focused on the novel Frankenstein. And basically, it was a wonderful event. We had about 90 high school students from the University Academy High School here in Southfield, led by their teacher, Ms. Lori Lewis. And during the seminar, during the discussion, one of the faculty panelists, Dr. Eric Meyer, who's a biomedical engineering faculty member here at Lawrence Tech, started making connections to the novel Frankenstein and the Avengers movies. And it occurred to us that we could actually, we got such a great response from the students. We actually collaborated on a paper where we were drawing comparisons between the novel Frankenstein and Black Panther and the Avengers, and pointing out that the relationship between Frankenstein and his creature and the novel also mirrors the relationship, or is aligned with the relationship between Black Panther and his nemesis, Eric Killmonger. So the students responded, and we wrote this paper, and we're delighted that it has been published in the Journal of the Chemical Educator.
Well, that was Frankenstein was in many ways the first modern science fiction novel. You know, it's it took things that were happening then and sort of extrapolated them into what people thought might happen, based on currently available technologies, and that's what sci-fi is all about.
Absolutely. And the thing is, this is a wonderful example, I think, of how STEM educators and educators in the humanities field can collaborate on a project and really reach students. I absolutely love the humanities field. And so anytime we can find a way to collaborate both to reach students, I think you just have some awesome responses and results from that.
All right, so we've got just a few minutes left. I know you've got some new staff in the Marburger STEM Center that the idea is to increase K-12 outreach. Why don't you talk about that a little bit, and then we'll wrap it up.
Sure. So we recently hired Jacqueline Smith, not the actress from the television show.
Because I was looking at Matt, and I go, really? Oh.
So she's a former high school biology teacher, and so she joined us last September to lead outreach efforts, and we are just delighted. She's bringing her energy and enthusiasm to the role, and we're continuing on doing workshops focused on vibranium and other types of activities to middle schools and high schools.
All right, so if you are a K-12 educator or a parent of a student in a K-12 education setting, and you think it would be good to engage with the Marburger STEM Center, how do people get a hold of you?
Absolutely. So you go to our website, www.ltu.edu, type in Marburger STEM Center, and I can also be reached at scollins@ltu.edu. Look forward to hearing from educators and parents and students.
All right, so a lot of programs at Lawrence Tech now available to middle school and high school students, from summer camps to Extreme Science Saturdays, partnerships with Black Girls Code and the Engineering Society of Detroit to encourage girls to pursue STEM careers, and some academic research that's also a lot of fun going on as well. Dr. Collins, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right, we want to thank Sabrina Collins for appearing here on the show today, and thank the rest of our guests, Rob Ponto from Comcast, Molly Theis from Entry Point, who's working with the Michigan Venture Capital Association. And we kicked off the show with, I think, someone who is from Detroit and really interesting in terms of his sort of pioneering work in fintech, Jason Rasnick.
Yeah, he's worldwide known now. I mean, I wouldn't say he created the fintech space, but he certainly contributed to its growth, that's for sure.
All right, well, we'll be back again in a week at 2 p.m. Eastern Time next Monday. For right now, this is Matt Roush.
And Mike Brennan.
And you've been listening to the M Squared Techcast at PodcastDetroit.com.
Thanks for listening to M Squared Techcast.
Thank you, Dr. Collins.